What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit more customization to our 5-inch basic figure line from the Reignition Basic Figure 6-pack, and we are also going to be taking our power weapons and we are going to be making a power blaster utilizing some magnets so that all the weapons will snap together. And you can make the power blaster without having to stick stuff together or do anything like that. So I'll show you how we're going to make the power blaster. We'll do some customizations to our Rangers. We're going to do just a tad bit more paint to the Rangers themselves. But the main thing we're going to be doing today is making the power blaster with these weapons utilizing these magnets. Now, the magnets I'm going to be using I actually just got from Amazon. It's a little variety pack of magnets. They're tri-mag magnets. They're actually called refrigerator magnets if I'm not sure. I will put a link down below to where you can get these. Now, they give you 3 different sizes of magnets here. So you can see at the end we've got these little tiny ones, then we've got some medium-sized ones, and then we have the larger ones right here at the end. Now, for most of the individual weapons, we're going to be using the medium-sized magnets. So I'm actually going to take these weapons out to my drill press in my workshop, and I am going to drill a hole down into the weapon where it needs to be to just set the magnet down in there, kind of flush. We'll super glue the magnet in. I'm actually going to paint the magnets with a small coat of spray paint to match the color of the weapons. So, you know, it'll blend in and it'll be kind of hard to notice that they're even there. With Billy's, I think I'm actually going to take 2 of the larger magnets and glue them to the end. We'll paint those blue so his lance can also snap back together. So I think that'll work out pretty well. Now, with the power bow, ideally I would have liked to have used the tiny magnets for all of it. But although they are fairly strong magnets, I want the strongest connection possible so that, you know, if you drop it or if you bump it, the weapons don't get all twisted and stuff like that. I want them to hold together pretty strongly. So I'm going to use the biggest magnets I possibly can for the space available on the individual weapons. Now, with Zach's power axe, I got to put a magnet right here at the top towards the front. I'm actually going to take the X-Acto knife and I am going to shave down this portion right here that is sticking out so that the bow sets all the way flush up against the larger portion here at the front. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to shave this down so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, and that fell right off. Looks pretty good. I basically just wanted the largest, flattest portion I can get here at the front for the bow to set against when it's being held down by the magnet, so it doesn't really have much room to twist and turn. And I think this right here is pretty much perfect. You know what I'm saying? Just so the bow can't twist and turn too much when the magnets are holding it together. I think that'll work out pretty well. I think it looks pretty good. Now, on the front of the bow, there is a tiny little raised like mold overflow. I'm going to shave that down as well just to make the front of the bow as flat as possible. I don't want this little raised up molding on there. Not that this is going to make a huge difference, but like I said, I just don't want anything interfering with these 2 surfaces, able to set as flat as possible up against each other. All right. Now, if we really wanted to go a step further, we could actually cut in a little square cutout so that the bow actually would slide forward into the power axe a little bit. But I think I don't think we're gonna go that far with it. I think with the magnet holding it down, it able to set against the front right here, I think that'll do the job. And then we don't have to put any magnets in the power sword or on top of the power axe because of this molding that fits the power sword perfectly. The power sword can just kind of go on top and set right here. Now I'm kind of contemplating on cutting off what essentially is the sights on the front of Zach's power axe when it's in blaster mode, just so that the power sword can set down farther and flatter. Do I want to cut that off? I might later. I'm going to see what it looks like when everything's on there, but I might actually cut this down so that the sword can set down even farther and be more flat. So we'll see what happens with that. So with the power weapons, now with the original power weapons, which were awesome, they actually went together. Now they weren't painted, they were all silver, but I liked the functionality of it. When the weapons go on in this configuration, they actually sit flat, and they should be up and down. But the way that the holes were drilled, you know, they go on kind of in that flat form. When we put our magnets in, we're actually going to put them on the sides of the weapons, so that when the weapons are on the power bow, these are actually up and down like they should be. So like I said, I'm just going to take this out to the drill press. I'm going to use my drill press because I can control a lot better the angle, so I can go straight down into it. I only have to go just deep enough for the magnet. These medium-sized magnets aren't really that deep at all, so I only have to go a little less than halfway into the weapon to get one of these magnets to set down in there and glue it in. And I can control that in the depth a lot better with my drill press outside. So I'm going to use that. Now when we're done, I'm going to paint the end of these silver. Actually, I'm going to put one of these magnets on here, but I'll probably paint the magnet just so it blends in with the rest of the colors. Should be pretty close. I'm going to use a metallic silver. This is obviously like a metallic silver. It's a metal silver, but I'll probably throw just a little bit of paint on there just so these blend in better. And we'll see what it looks like. So let's go get our holes drilled so we can glue our magnets into all the weapons. We'll paint the magnets so they blend in with the weapon just a little bit. And we'll see what this looks like when we're all said and done. So if you really wanted to go this far and do something like this, you can have all the supplies I used and kind of how I did it. Or if you want to come up with your own way of doing it, that's cool too, and share that with me if you get a chance. But let's go ahead and get this done, and we'll check back. So I'll bring you outside with me so you can see the whole drill press adventure, and then we'll come back in here after we paint the magnets and take a look at everything. All right, everybody, we are all done drilling our holes in our weapons. Now, this plastic is more of kind of a rubberized plastic. So when you're drilling a hole in this, depending on how you choose to do it, just know that you're going to have to hold it still and in place while you're drilling it. For example, I used a drill press. I had to hold it perfectly in place. I had to have a flat surface underneath it. Otherwise, that drill is going to want to throw it around, move it. The heat of the drill can end up going in whatever direction it's facing, and you might not end up with a perfectly drilled little hole. So just be careful with that. Now, when these were done, and I stuck a magnet down on this one I got to take out. When these were done, I did clean them up just a tiny bit with my X-Acto knife. And then I also took my Dremel tool with the same size like sanding bit on the end to go down into the holes one more time just to make sure they were shaped perfectly and flat at the bottom, because my drill bit comes to a little point at the end. So you want this hole to be deep enough for the magnet to go all the way down in there. I'll put the size of the drill bit I used in there so you know the size of the bit, the size of the Dremel tool you should be using if you choose to go this route and attempt this. But it turned out pretty well. I think this is going to work out really good. So what we're going to do now is, first I have to take this magnet out. This was a test magnet. I have all of our magnets right here. They're rolled up in this so they couldn't touch each other. But I painted all of our magnets. I painted all the ones that are going to go in the bow white, Trini's yellow, Billy's blue, and Zach's black, so they blend in with the weapons. Then I put a clear coat on them, so they should hold up pretty well without scraping off, and they'll blend in with the weapons. So we're going to take our magnets and we're going to glue them into the weapon. We're going to let them dry for a while. While they're drying, we're going to customize our figures just a little bit more, and then we'll take a look at everything when it's all said and done. So let's go ahead and start getting these magnets ready. Now, before you glue your magnets in, make sure that your magnets go together with the corresponding weapon where it goes before you glue the magnets in. Make sure that you've got two positives attracting. You don't want to glue all this together. Then realize both of your magnets inside of your daggers actually repel one of the magnets that is where the dagger is supposed to go. So just make sure your magnets are facing the right way. I accidentally painted the wrong side of one of them. I thought I set them up perfectly outside, so I had to double check everything, and sure enough, I painted the wrong side of one of the magnets. So I grabbed another one and repainted it. So all of the correct sides should be painted, but you want to check again before you glue everything together, because that can be a lot harder to fix. All right, all of our magnets are glued inside of our weapons. So we're gonna let that dry for a while. While we do that, we're gonna go ahead and further customize our Rangers just a little bit. Now, what we're gonna do is we are going to paint around the morpher the buckle connector on their belts that is actually black. So we're gonna paint that in black, simply just using our little brush and our matte paint right here. Then we're going to take Red Ranger's visor and we're going to finish painting it in with our silver paint pen here just to finish out his visor. All right, we are done painting the helmet. Actually had to step aside for just a second so I could put this under the light and paint it, because it was a pretty small little area to paint without getting it all over the visor. So I had to go over to my other desk real quick to paint this. But I just put 2 little coats of silver on the top and the bottom there to extend the visor across, and I think it looks a lot better. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to paint around the morphers. Now, this should be a little bit easier to paint. I'm just going to use some of this matte paint right here. And I saw a comment on one of my other videos asking, legitimately, how easy would it be for someone to put paint apps on these that doesn't really know anything about painting? And it's really easy. All right, with these kinds of paint especially, which is what you want to use pretty much on these figures, just this matte acrylic paint for most of it. Now, I did use a metallic silver for the visor, but this stuff is just acrylic, easy cleanup water-based paint. Just have a damp little towel standing by, and if you make a mistake, just wipe it off and start over. I'll show you guys real quick here. I am going to use, so just for an example, let's say, I start painting my morpher here, and whoops, I get it all over the morpher part. Don't freak out about it. Just grab your little moist towelette, whatever the case may be, and wipe it off. I mean, it wipes right off. And there we go. Now it's off my morpher. So this is very, very easy to do. We're just going to paint these buckles. All right, guys, we are all done painting our Rangers. So we painted all of the little buckles right here with that black outline. We painted Red Ranger's helmet all the way across. We painted in the rest of Tommy's holster. And I think everything looks really good. I am pretty much done customizing these Rangers, but let's go ahead and check out our custom power blaster. Now, right here, as you can see, there's now a magnet in the front of Zach's power axe. That one blended in really good. Then we have the power lances right here with their magnets inside of the sides right there. We are still going to add magnets to the end of Billy's lance so that he can form the power lance again. We have Trini's right here. Nothing on the power sword because we don't need it. And then we have all of our magnets inside of the power bow. Now, none of this interferes with the Ranger's ability to put these in their hands and hold them and do all that stuff. But let's go ahead and form the power blaster. So we have our power axe. Then we have the power bow. Just like that, snaps right on there. Then we will put our power lances. I love how they snap on there really quickly. Then we have our power daggers. It like flies out of my hand and shoots and snaps on there. All right. Then last but not least, we have the power sword. Now the power sword just goes right down in the back of the axe here. Now, I was going to maybe trim off the little front sight, but that right there actually looks pretty decent. So for now, I'm not going to do the, I'm not going to cut off the sight. But as you can see, this is holding together really well. It's not falling off. The weapons are on there. Let me straighten this one out. The weapons are on there up and down like they should be. And they just snap together with magnets, and you can't even tell that the magnets are on there. So we now have a power blaster that just snaps together. All right, and there we go. We have our awesome power blaster. Jason's able to hold it and still stand up even with the extra weight of the magnets. I'm going to color in the ends of Billy's power lance real quick, just the flat surface. I'm going to put 2 magnets on so Billy can go back to using his power lance. And then I'll put a quick coat of paint on those as well, so that we have all of this silver. I'm also going to paint the end of Zach's power axe right here, and then we'll be completely done. So let's go ahead and put the finishing touches on it. All right, guys, we are completely painted. I put the magnets on the end of Billy's lances and painted them so that when they're in blaster form, they now match the end of Trini's daggers, which were already painted, like the for the end of the gun barrels. And then I also painted the end of the power axe silver as well. So let's take one final look. Now the best thing about this is not only does the power blaster look cool, the actual individual weapons will still go in their hands, and Billy's power lance will even snap back together. And there we go. There's all of our Rangers. Billy's power lance actually snaps together pretty firmly if you want to hold it in that pose. So I think this turned out really well. Really happy with the final results. Let me know what you guys think about this stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. So don't be afraid to customize your stuff, guys, if you want to. Now, you don't have to go as far as drilling the holes in it and stuff like that if you don't feel comfortable. But if you just want to add a little bit of paint, these little 50-cent to $1 acrylic matte paints are very easy to use. If you make a mistake, just take your little damp towel, wipe it completely off, and do it again. But until next time, everybody, I will see you next video.